You've already died before, and you will again. But you don't remember, do you? Well, that's because in the universe where you were supposed to die, you did. But your consciousness, it just kept going. This is quantum immortality, the mysterious phenomenon that suggests you can never truly experience your own death. Instead, every time you're about to die, your consciousness shifts to a parallel reality where you survive, sometimes by what you can consider pure luck. But what if this isn't luck at all? What if it is evidence that you are, in some sense, immortal, not in the traditional sense, but through an endless sequence of transitions from one version of reality to the next? If true, then death itself may perhaps be nothing more than a perceptual illusion. Yet this raises a disturbing question. If you are constantly shifting realities to avoid death, who or what is pulling the strings behind these shifts? Are you truly in control, or is something far beyond your understanding deciding where you wake up next? Get ready to discover one of the most hidden and mysterious secrets about immortality. Let's uncover it, shall we? Get ready, humans. Welcome to Astral Breeds, True Oneness. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to join the collective. Now, fellow human, let us start. The laws of physics are indifferent to concepts like life or death. They merely govern the probabilities of events occurring. In quantum mechanics, reality is not confined to a single linear path. Instead, it unfolds as a multiverse, a vast landscape of endless possibilities. The concept of quantum immortality stems from physicist Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation, MWI, of quantum mechanics in 1957. According to this theory, every quantum event causes the universe to branch into countless parallel realities, where every moment that could have resulted in death also spawns a parallel universe where survival occurs, suggesting that, from a first-person perspective, consciousness may persist indefinitely in some branch of the multiverse. In MWI, observation does not cause collapse. It determines which branch an observer experiences. Every possible outcome of an event exists in parallel, but an individual's awareness only follows one trajectory. This means that while all versions of reality unfold, the experience of any given observer is always restricted to a single branch at a time. So if quantum immortality is true, then an observer's timeline will always be the one where they remain alive. Think about all the times you almost got hit by a car, narrowly avoided a deadly accident, or even just missed a fatal fall by inches. Quantum immortality suggests that if you're still here, it's because your consciousness followed that one path, one branch, one parallel dimension, where somehow you survived. However, in the reality you shifted from, you actually died. Your friends and family mourn your loss. Life moves on, just not for you. You mysteriously transition to the next probable reality where you're still alive. Now, you don't consciously perceive these shifts, which raises one of the deepest and most perplexing questions about the nature of reality. It's like a video game with infinite respawns, but instead of resetting at a checkpoint, you just keep shifting into the branch where you survive. This isn't just speculation. At the subatomic level, reality behaves like a cosmic game of chance. There is no collapse of the wave function, as traditional quantum mechanics suggests. Instead, all possibilities remain real, each realized in its own separate branch, applied to consciousness and survival. This means that in moments where death is a possible outcome, versions of you do die, but equally, there is always a version where you survive. From your subjective experience, you remain only in the branch where survival continues, effectively making death something you never consciously experience. While MWI remains unproven experimentally, some of the most chilling discoveries in quantum physics keep forcing us to reconsider. And if that's true, then you could have already died. Not once, not twice, but countless times. How does this work? According to MWI, instead of a particle choosing a single outcome, reality splits. Each possible outcome manifests in a separate universe. This means that every decision, every possibility, every quantum fluctuation births a new reality running parallel to our own. Now, just as particles exist in superposition, holding multiple possibilities simultaneously, some physicists and philosophers speculate that your conscious experience might mirror this quantum strangeness. According to the many worlds interpretation, it might feel like you are simply following a single thread of life, but in truth, infinite versions of you may branch out endlessly. Studies in quantum cognition suggest that decision-making processes in the brain exhibit quantum-like properties, where mental states do not follow a strictly linear, deterministic path. Instead, they exist in superpositions, coexisting possibilities that influence each other other until observation or conscious attention results in a definitive outcome. This mirrors the probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics and hints that consciousness may be entangled with the same rules governing the subatomic world, meaning your awareness might not be confined to a single timeline. Instead, you may not be experiencing just one life, but an infinite series of them, seamlessly transitioning across the quantum multiverse without even realizing it. This perspective suggests that what we experience as choice may be the mind navigating an ever-diverging multiverse. Some physicists argue that quantum immortality is not scientifically provable because consciousness itself is not well understood in physics. Others speculate that if consciousness is inherently tied to quantum processes, then our perception of time, identity, and death could be vastly different from what classical physics suggests. Physicist Hugh Everett proposed that these alternate universes aren't some vague philosophical idea. They're as real and tangible as the screen in front of you, spawning an ever-expanding tree of parallel universes, each as real, structured, and governed by physical laws as the one you're perceiving right now. To understand this, every possible quantum measurement result is realized, not sequentially, but simultaneously, across a vast, multidimensional superstructure known as the universal wave function. This concept, explored extensively by physicist Bryce DeWitt, emphasizes that the wave function never collapses. Instead, it continuously evolves according to the deterministic Schrödinger equation. Every interaction, every decision, every random atomic fluctuation generates a divergence, splitting reality into distinct, non-communicating branches. Importantly, these universes do not interact. Quantum decoherence ensures that once the branching occurs, interference between worlds becomes practically impossible. Decoherence acts like a cosmic wall, preventing these parallel realities from bleeding into each other, making them observationally independent despite sharing a common origin. Yet mathematically, they are all embedded in the same overarching Hilbert space, governed by the same unyielding physical laws. The many worlds strips away the mystical concept of wave function collapse, replacing it with a cold, elegant multiverse where reality is the totality of all possible outcomes, forever expanding, infinitely complex. In this model, the so-called collapse is merely our limited perspective, one branch of countless others, experienced subjectively. Think of an unfathomable number of versions of you that exist, some thriving in unimaginable futures, others lost in forgotten timelines. Each you, unaware of the others, but all equally valid expressions of your quantum potential. While mainstream science still debates these ideas, the implications are profound. If many worlds is correct, then each decision, each moment, and even each death branches into new existences, an eternal unfolding of possibilities where you never truly reach an end. However, quantum immortality also suggests that it does not guarantee a pleasant existence. You might continue living indefinitely, but in progressively worse conditions, suffering injuries, aging, or even being trapped in a deteriorating state. This raises ethical and existential questions. Would immortality truly be a gift, or could it become the ultimate curse? If these infinite shifts indeed unfold beyond our perception, are we merely passive observers in this cosmic roulette, or do we possess any agency to influence its course? Quantum experiments, such as the delayed choice quantum eraser, demonstrate that information about an event can appear to be determined retroactively. In MWI, this suggests that different versions of reality remain entangled across time, reinforcing the idea that past and future exist as parallel, coexisting possibilities rather than fixed sequences of events. In this experiment, researchers observed that a particle's behavior, whether it manifests as a wave or a particle, is not determined as it traverses the apparatus. Instead, its state is defined only after the journey is complete, based on a measurement performed after the fact. Remarkably, it appears as though the particle anticipates the observer's future action and retroactively adjusts its prior behavior. This challenges our fundamental understanding of time itself, suggesting that the future can influence the past, blurring the line between cause and effect. Think about that, the future affecting the past, as if time itself is just another illusion. Experiments like the delayed choice quantum eraser, where decisions made after events still affect the past, suddenly determines that survival isn't just random luck. It's possible that our consciousness is somehow steering through these infinite timelines, choosing the path where we continue. This further reinforces the notion that the observer is not merely a passive witness, but an active participant, potentially navigating an infinite spectrum of electromagnetic frequencies. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics, such as many worlds, suggest that consciousness itself may play a role in the selection of experienced realities, offering a potential explanation for why death is never personally experienced. Studies on quantum brain dynamics propose that microtubules within neurons could function as quantum processors, hinting that our brains might be literal quantum machines, designed to navigate and influence multiple realities simultaneously. If microtubules are indeed involved in quantum processes, as some theories suggest, it could imply that conscious thought may not be limited to just one universe. Instead, it might be entangled with a vast network of parallel realities. This idea aligns the concept of quantum immortality, where consciousness could persist across different branches, potentially evading death in one form while continuing in another. This would mean death is only real in the timelines you don't observe, but from your perspective, existence never truly ends. You just keep shifting, waking up in the version of reality where you're still breathing, even if the odds are insane. In this sense, reality is not a single linear progression, but an unfolding superposition of worlds, where consciousness seamlessly transitions into the branches where it continues to exist. In the end, consciousness isn't just witnessing reality with no control whatsoever. It hints to be the very thing in charge of making sure your story never stops. The implications, terrifyingly beautiful. Reality, at its core, might not just be observer-dependent. It could be a vast branching multiverse where every possible outcome unfolds simultaneously. Stars, galaxies, atoms, even your own death, all splitting into infinite versions. And if that's true, then what are you? Just a mind in a body, or perhaps a multidimensional architect navigating infinite realms simultaneously? What do you think, fellow humans? Be sure to leave us your thoughts in the comments. Now, as we wrap up this exploration, we begin to realize the profound implications of these concepts. If our consciousness truly navigates a vast multiverse, shifting through an endless array of possibilities, what does this mean for our understanding of life, death, and existence? If you take a closer look, these theories might offer new perspectives on the experiences and phenomena that shape your reality. If observation is what collapses reality into existence, what happens when you stop observing? What occurs when you sleep, when you dream, when your mind drifts between varying states of awareness? Quantum physics suggests that consciousness may unconsciously shift and flicker like a radio tuning between infinite frequencies. This could offer an explanation for phenomena like déjà vu, the Mandela effect, and those uncanny gut feelings, fragments of memory or perception bleeding through from all the versions of you that exist across countless parallel realities. These are like pages in an infinite book where universes stack upon each other, and you're flipping through them without even knowing it. This could mean something extraordinary. You may not be simply living one reality, but embodying the avatar of a deeper consciousness, experiencing an endless stream of parallel worlds. In each iteration, you ascend to the next level of existence, awakening with the distinct sensation that you have somehow eluded death, when, in reality, you've simply slid into the next branch of your own existence. The craziest part, if this is true, if you are quantum immortal, there may come a moment when your reality begins to distort, where the odds of survival stretch so thin that the world around you feels increasingly foreign, almost wrong. This could mark the final stage of quantum immortality, when your consciousness becomes the last flicker of awareness in a collapsing universe, desperately clinging to the final thread of existence. A reality growing weirder and lonelier until, what? Until you become the observer of a new universe, until you realize you are creating them. That's the true question. Is quantum immortality merely a mechanism of survival, or is it, in fact, the path to godhood? Thank you, humans. If you enjoyed this short exploration into the mysteries of immortality, please leave us a thumbs up and share it with your fellow Earthlings. Don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing revelations of existence. What other topics would you like us to explore? Be sure to let us know. Until next time, fellow humans, and stay immortal.